Promise there's just a massive amount of jam-packed value in those. One of those episodes, don't want to spoil too much of it, right? But we have an episode with Hayden Greenwood. Hayden Greenwood is my main acquisition manager. He negotiates over $1 million a year in wholesale fees. He's been with me, I think, for like 5 or 6 years. Absolutely amazing. He's also training and building our sales floor with having more acquisition managers. Absolute rock star. And we broke down some of the main mistakes, right? Some of the things that he has to make sure he teaches not only the students that we're coaching, but also our acquisition guys that are on our team to do, right? Like when you go on that first seller's appointment, what do you say? How do you say it? How do you walk away with the appointment with the contract? How do you do it in a way that you're not manipulating and using aggressive and even predatorial practices without lying, without taking advantage of people that are you literally can go in, and this is going to sound completely opposite of what you think, but how you can go into a seller appointment and give them all the options that might be a better fit for them where you don't make a dime, right? And how you can be 1000% honest and authentic and have the seller's best interest at heart, and let them choose to work with you or not. And you can do this and still be extremely profitable and do a ton of deals. And not only that, actually completely obliterate your competition, because your competition is not doing that. Okay. So definitely check out my podcast called Driving for Dollars Mastery. There's that episode. We have 2 students on there that broke down exactly what they did and how they did it to get across that finish line and getting their very first wholesale deal, which is such a huge barrier and ceiling to get through, right? If you guys are just starting your real estate journey, that's going to be an amazing episode. And then we had another student that she's got one property under contract and has another solid appointment. And she had some questions around how to navigate both those deals and negotiations. And one of them is 3 houses on one lot and how to deal with that. So there's a lot of education when it comes to real estate and real estate investing. But also one of the cool things on that episode is her name's Adriana. Love her. Cute husband and wife couple. And they, Adriana kind of got cold feet and she almost gave up, was able to talk to her and keep her moving forward. Now she's so close to the finish line. So that's a fun podcast as well. So definitely check out the podcast Driving for Dollars Mastery. But let's jump into some Q&A. And sorry, I have another student texting me here. I'll probably pull that question up. So on my, who was it that texted me here, Daniel? The 256 number on my computer. I don't have the number saved because it's not backed up. Who was that? The 256. The text message just before yours. Who?
Is WhatsApp or normal?
No, normal text. I'm pretty sure it's a student because I got a huge chain of messages.
Dustin Moore, Kimberly. I think it's Dustin.
It might be Dustin Moore. Okay, it's Dustin. Okay. All right. I don't have it saved on my computer. All right. I might address that one. Let's go into Q&A. We've got questions coming in, guys. Also, if you guys can chime in, we've had a bunch of people chime in now. Where are you guys from? What experience do you have? So we got Chicago, Maryland, Atlanta, Louisiana. So chime in where you're coming from, and then also any questions you guys have. Let's come in with some questions, and appreciate you guys being here live. I want to add as much value to you guys as possible. Trying to get my first deal today was a massive step in the right direction. What do you mean trying to get my first deal today was a massive step in the right direction? Did you have a seller's appointment? What do you mean by that? It's L6WS9N. And I think that you're live on TikTok. Was that right? That was a TikTok comment, or
Instagram.
that was Instagram? Okay. So you're live with me on Instagram. What do you mean by you're working in the right direction? I'd love to know what you mean there. Maybe we could deep dive that a little bit. And then I got another question here. I'll address why that's coming in. What is the best list to call? So my program is called Driving for Dollars Mastery. My podcast, Driving for Dollars Mastery. If you watch my YouTube channel and go to playlists, and you'll see the 40-day challenge. I made $93,000 in 40 days doing Driving for Dollars. So what is Driving for Dollars? Because that's the list. Like that, if I could tell you any gold nugget of where to get started and how to find deeply discounted real estate, whether you want to flip, wholesale, or whatever, Driving for Dollars is what you want to do. It could be done wrong, right? But it also could be done right. And when it's done right, it's extremely powerful, right? So what is Driving for Dollars? Well, first off, what do we need to understand? When it comes to real estate investing, we're not flipping, we're not wholesaling, we're not doing any of that stuff. We're finding someone that wants a pawn shop for their house. That's real estate investing, is finding the discounted house. Because if you can find the discounted house, what you do with it almost is not as important as the deal. Because, like, think about this. If your goal is to build a rental portfolio, then fine, keep it as a rental. If your goal is to get some cash and quickly, fine, wholesale it. If your goal is to, build a construction company and try and squeeze more out per deal, great, do a flip, right? And so the exit strategy is more based on what your goals are and what you're trying to accomplish and where you're at in your life. But you can't do any of that stuff. You can't do any of those strategies unless you start with a deeply discounted deal. So why would anyone sell you their house for a discount? Why won't they fix it up themselves and list it for top dollar? Because there's a small percentage of people that want a pawn shop for their house. They don't want to deal with it. And if you don't think that's possible, listen to my podcast, Driving for Dollars Mastery. It's me and hundreds of other of people explaining what they did and how they did it and how they're finding these people every single day, right? And so what we do is we're looking for houses that have physical signs of neglect, right? The uglier houses, the houses that have peeling paint, broken windows, and that kind of stuff. Why? Because people that sell their house for speed and convenience over price, people that want a pawn shop for their house, it's because the house is a thorn in their side. If the house is a thorn in their side, are they going to plant flowers and pick the weeds and, make sure it's all cute and the grass is green and they're mowing it and it's all nice and well kept? No, right? There's going to be peeling paint. There's going to be tarps on the roof. There's going to be deferred maintenance. You'll even see that there are a lot of the times completely vacant and abandoned houses. And you're like, man, does that really exist? I guarantee you within 5 miles of where you live, guarantee you, if you have a population of at least 200,000 people within 5 miles of you, there is a house right now that if you went and talked to the owner, you could turn that into at least $20,000 profit. The problem is you don't know how to do that yet. So what we do is we drive around, we find these ugly houses and reach out and see if they want to sell. And we break all this down in my other content podcasts and so forth. So we cold call the Driving for Dollars the Driving for Dollars list. My 40-day challenge where I got $1,000 to spend on marketing. I made $93,000 in 3 wholesale deals, and I did the Driving for Dollars list cold calling it. So I know that was a long-winded answer, but guys, it is powerful stuff. It's why everything I have is labeled Driving for Dollars Mastery, because I believe that's the fastest way, the best way to get started, the fastest way to scale. And honestly, even if you are doing deals and you're not doing at least $500,000 a year from your Driving for Dollars list, you're missing out big time. All right, here we go. Got a call with a potential seller in 15 minutes. He just left a message and said he's got something. Any good starter questions to get the conversation rolling? Yes, your job's not to convince them to sell to an investor. Your job's to find out what they want, right? So ask the question, right? And if you don't believe this works, you can watch day 4 of my 40-day challenge and you hear me ask this question. You say, well, you might make more money, if you fix it up and waited and worked the traditional route with a traditional retail buyer and, spend a few $1,000 after the inspection with things they want fixed. And, if you're not in a hurry, like go make more money, or you could sell it to someone like me, maybe not me, but an investor like myself, and be done quickly and sell it as is, even though you'll make less money. What are you trying to do, Mr. Seller? And then listen, right? Your job is to figure out what they want. Remember, you're a pawn shop for a house. Don't hide that fact, because your job is to find the people that need your help and need your services. Because when you find that person and you're transparent and honest, you'll make more money elsewhere. But if that's not what you want, if you want speed and convenience, I can serve you. Right. And everyone else is going to be lying to them and trying to convince them. And they don't understand that what's more important is to take care of people and help people. And so even though they are motivated, they're going to feel like the other person's trying to sell them, because they are, and they're not going to like or trust that other person. So you're going to beat your competition out immediately. So focus on helping them. Also subscribe to my podcast, because I just broke this down in major depth with my acquisition manager. Does $1 million a year himself in wholesale fees. Absolute monster. And he's training other people on our sales team too. So absolute stud. Podcast is called Driving for Dollars Mastery. Definitely go in there. Find it anywhere you find your podcasts. David's from Iowa. Welcome. Houston, Texas in the house. And then I got another question. How do I buy a home if I am a first-time buyer and a 680 credit score? How do I buy a home? Well, you can go and find a real estate agent, right? Find a mortgage broker. You go to the mortgage broker, to the bank, and get a pre-qualification letter, and they'll tell you how much you qualify for. And if you're going to buy it for your personal home, a lot of the times you can do a 3 or a 5% down. And sometimes as a first-time home buyer, depending on your area, talk to your mortgage broker. Is there any first-time home buyer grants available? And so you can even get your down payment paid for by a grant. I did that on my very first duplex I ever bought, my very first house. And you can go the traditional route and do that. I don't suggest that, because you're paying full price, right? If you go around and sell it for full price, now you're going to have all these fees. You're going to have closing costs. You're going to have to pay a real estate agent to list it for you, to try and squeeze that top dollar. So immediately upon purchase, you're upside down, right? It's like buying a brand new car from the dealership. As soon as you buy that car and you drive it off the lot, you lost value, right? It's the same concept when you buy a house. So my suggestion, if I could go back and say, hey, Zach, you're new to this and you want to be a good investor, and you want to, you got a good credit score, you have the ability to buy a rental. I would get into the business of finding discounted houses. I'd get into the business of wholesaling sooner. That's a business I'm in. I'm in the business of finding deeply discounted properties for flippers and buy and hold investors. And then I would cherry pick my best ones. So my first few houses that I bought the traditional route, down payments. It was a pain in the butt. And it's a hard way to get rich doing that. And, there's no better time to invest in real estate, right? Because with time, it's going to inflate. The rents are going to go up. The tenants are going to pay down the mortgage. So even if you go the traditional route, it's not a bad idea, but it's way better. I'll give you an example. I'm literally closing on my next rental tomorrow, right? And I am buying the property. I got it under contract for $310,000. Okay. It's going to cost me about $25,000 to remodel what I'm going to remodel. I'm going to do a partial kitchen, one of the partial bathrooms, and flooring and paint. That's it. It doesn't need much. That house, when I'm done, so I'm going to be all into this thing with, short-term financing, right? Because I bought it with like a hard money cash loan, and, paying that lender, paying the remodel costs, and everything. I'm going to be into this thing like 340-ish. And I'm going to, get a long-term loan once all that's done. This house will be worth $450,000, right? When it's all done. So my net worth increase just skyrocketed, right? Over 6 figures, or close to 6 figures, right? And on top of that, my monthly payment is going to be much less than the monthly payments to the bank. My rent income will be much more than the monthly payments to the bank. And so I'm going to be receiving extra money every month. So someone else is basically going to be paying for that house for me, and my net worth increases. So you're way better off to get in the business of finding discounted opportunities, because you're going to grow much faster. Your money's going to snowball much faster. So if I was going to start, that's what I would do, right? I wished I'd have known about this business sooner. And if you're curious about how that works, here on social media, I teach this stuff. My podcast, Driving for Dollars Mastery, is a great place where I have longer form content where I really break stuff down, or even my YouTube channel. Go to playlists, watch the 40-day challenge. I do 3 wholesale deals, make 93 grand cash, and buy 2 rentals, by the way, at a massive discount. Turned around both and sold both those rentals. I bought them each for, I think, $55,000 each, and I made $35,000 profit selling them the very next year, or a year and a half later, something like that. It was close to a year. Wild. Okay. Let's see here. If you can't find a buyer within the inspection period, would you just call the seller and tell them, how do you cancel the contract? So when it comes to contracts and legalities of contracts, I want you guys to understand I'm not an attorney. I'm going to share what I do, but I'm not giving you legal counsel. Okay. So just so you know, I would highly suggest that you definitely confirm the legalities of wholesaling, your contracts, and make sure you have a solid contract when it comes to wholesaling. So those that don't know how this works, what wholesaling is, the way I structure my deals and how my attorneys had me do this here in Utah, I do it in Florida this way, and I have most of my students across the country doing it this way. I find a discounted house, right? And someone wants to sell it to me, and I sign a contract, a buy and sell agreement, a REPSI, a real estate purchase and sell agreement, okay, between the seller and me, right? So Bob, let's say Bob's the seller. Bob, I'll buy your house for $100,000. Bob says, great, I'm happy with that. We sign the papers. There's a paragraph that says I can sell that contract or assign that contract to someone else. So then I have an email list of other investors and buy and hold investors, and I evaluate the deal. I have my inspection period. On that original contract, I have a time period to inspect the property where I can cancel the agreement or decide to move through, right? And I can cancel in that time frame and not lose any money. So I'll inspect the house myself. I'll have cash buyers inspect the house. I'll get cash offers from my other investors, flippers, buy and hold investors, and I evaluate the deal for myself at this point as well. Do I want to flip it myself? Do I want to, just close on it and list it on the MLS? Do I want to close on it, get long-term financing and turn it into a rental and build my net worth and my cash flow and my financial freedom? And I make that decision. And I make the decision what works best. So my biggest wholesale fee this year was like 100 and I don't remember the exact number. I want to say it's plus or minus a couple $1,000s at about 110 grand, right? Plus or minus a couple $1,000. It's a lot. It was a huge deal. I've had 2 deals over the 6-figure range as traditional wholesale selling the contracts. You can make a ton of money wholesaling, but I also really like to hold properties because that's not taxable. My net worth grows up and I don't pay taxes. There's a lot of benefits of both, but I use a strategy depending on what your goals are. But let's say you're under contract too high. After you inspect the property, all your cash buyers are like, dude, you're like 2 times more, you've got it 2 times higher than what any of us are willing to pay for it. At that point, you go back to the seller and you can renegotiate and sign an addendum that changes the price. If he's not willing to, you just sign a cancellation agreement and send it over to him, right? So that's the process. It's super simple. It's not scary, and it happens every day, even on the traditional market of people inspecting the property. And in the traditional world, they don't normally just have the inspection period. They have the inspection period, but they also have the financial deadlines, which is getting bank approval on the financing and making sure that they can get their financing in order. And if they can't, they can cancel for that as well. So, yeah, anyways, it's just part of the process. I love this question. Zach, where the heck do I start to gain financial freedom? Um, well, for me, I tried by building a window cleaning company for a decade. That didn't work. And then I tried flipping a house. That didn't really work. Uh, and ultimately, what changed my life, what got me on that path, is I learned real estate wholesaling, right? Learning how to find those discounted deals and turning them into cash, right? Finding the opportunity, passing it to investor. No debt, no risk, right? You don't get bogged down with projects and contractors stealing from you and all the other problems and headaches and fixing toilets and becoming a property manager when you literally buy way too high and it doesn't make sense, right? You basically inherit, you have to go get a job to pay for your side job to cover the monthly payments because you got it, you bought a house for too much, right? So I highly suggest you start with wholesaling. Yes, I coach it, I teach it. And so you might be like, oh, well, he's just saying that because he wants students. Well, I want you as a student because I know I can change your life, but like authentically, that's where I'd go. And so if you're like, man, I don't know if I can trust this guy, go look at other coaches, right? Go look at what they're doing, go look at their students, right? If you're going to hire a coach, I'm going to give you some tips here. You're going to want to look at, are they getting results themselves? Are they doing the business, right? And then second, are they getting results for their students? And then third, do I like and trust this person? Like, do I relate this person? If you like listen to what he's saying, you're like, man, this guy's arrogant, this dude is, you know, I think he's full of crap. Like he just is not sitting well with me. He's not your cup of tea. And maybe I'm not your cup of tea. And that means I don't want you to join my program because I want you to trust me. I want you to like me. I want you to be willing to follow through with the action steps I'm going to give you and have the peace of mind and confidence that I have your best interest at heart. And I'm going to give you the action steps that'll get you to that success line. Because if you don't believe that, you're not going to do what I ask you to do and you're not going to be successful. So don't join my program, right? So go find a coach, go get into real estate wholesaling. I tried to do it for 3 years on my own and got crushed. I mean, just absolutely expensive. I spent nearly $30,000, guys, between different marketing strategies and trying to find my first deal, and didn't do anything. I didn't even get one under contract. Right? It was painful. Finally hired a coach, and it was under 2 months. I got my first deal closed. I made 10 grand on my first wholesale deal. Within 8 months after closing that first deal, I did over six figures. The next year, I did just shy of a half a million. Next year, I did 1.2 million. It's completely changed my life. So, I'm going to give you the advice of what got me success, and that's getting a coach and using that filter of those three things. Okay. All right. I've got so many questions coming in. I appreciate y'all chiming in. I may not be able to get to everyone. And if I don't, stay tuned with me, right? Ask me questions on my TikTok. I will create more TikToks. Ask me questions on YouTube. Ask me questions. Follow me on Instagram. DM me on Instagram. Like I truly, authentically want to bless y'all's lives. Even if you're not a student, ask me a question. Let me help you. Okay. So let me get to as many questions as I can here. Where do you get leads from? Yeah, so like I said, my bread and butter is driving for dollars. If you want to see what that looks like, go watch the 40-day challenge. In my YouTube channel, go to playlist 40-day challenge. I use driving for dollars. I drive around at ugly houses and cold call and made 93 grand in less than 40 days actually, but go watch that. It's amazing. Um, Unsliced in. How do so Terry Trey said, "How do I buy a house someone was unsliced in?" Unsliced. I'm not sure what you mean, Trey. How do you buy a house someone was maybe like squatting in, or yeah, I'm not sure what you mean. If you can clarify, I can answer. Do you recommend Deal Machine starting out? 1,000%. Deal Machine is the tool we use. You'll see in the 40-day challenge. Also, if you haven't tried the Deal Machine app, um, it, imagine, so I'll explain what it is. So when you're driving through these neighborhoods looking for these ugly houses, you got to find out who owns them and how to reach out to them. So Deal Machine has, imagine you have a Google Maps image on this app and you see this ugly house. Well, literally all you have to do is touch the house on the Google Maps image and it'll upload all the information you need for that homeowner. Property address, mailing address, owner's name. You can immediately send a postcard to them. You can immediately pay for the phone number and call them right then. Right. And so it's an amazing tool. It's what I used on the 40-day challenge. If you guys actually want $100 for free, this is how you do it with Deal Machine. So if you use a discount code PIN, awesome discount code, PIN, when you use that discount code, you are going to get $100 for free in in-app spending. So basically, if you want to send postcards, you get $100 for free. If you want to cold call and call people and get phone numbers, $100 for free. Right. So that's gonna help you guys out if you want to try the Deal Machine app to do driving for dollars. I'm going to answer this last questions kind of because I'm kind of out of time. How can I gain mentorship from you only? And then I also had another question from Dimitri. What programs do you offer for beginners? Awesome. So my main program, right, for beginners, for having you have access directly to me, right? So I'm going to kind of answer these questions together here. If y'all are wanting to get your first wholesale deal, or if you need a system or process to get more leads and more deals, right? Maybe you've done one or two deals where you're really struggling to really blow this thing up. I would be a fit for you, right? Like that's my sweet spot. Like that's easy peasy, right? Like I absolutely love this. So I have a program known as Driving for Dollars Mastery. Okay. So there's a link in my bios in all these social media platforms where you can click on it and fill out the questionnaire and get on our calendar. And we can break down what I do and how I help you. And I can kind of break down some of those things, some of those benefits of working with me. But if you want like go into depth, just book the call, because we also need to understand where you're at, some of the obstacles that you might have, because we may not be a fit for you and vice versa. So we got to make sure that if you signed up for the program, that I can get you across that finish line. So I'm in my recording studio now, but if we were in my office, you would see a picture of all my students printed that I'm actively coaching. And my job is within 2 months to get them out on my success wall, share their success story on my podcast. And anyways, I know how to do that within 2 months. So you're going to get the actionable steps, step-by-step action. But beyond like the action steps and exactly how to do driving for dollars effectively, and how to negotiate, and how to do comps, and how to do all the things that are like, man, I don't know what the next step is, right? All that's clear. But what's going to happen is you're going to have a seller that has a problem or has an issue and you don't know how to deal with it, like fire damage or termites, or there's a litigation issue, or it's got to go through probate and you don't know what to do. You will have my personal cell phone. I will personally help you through every single one of your deals. My job is to get you on that success wall, and I do a ton of one-on-one calls because of it. That's one of the first things we do when we sign you up. So you get you direct access to me and my cell phone. I do a personal intro call to every student so they can save my number, right? I don't just give you guys a course and say, good luck. I give you a course and say, call me, reach out to me. We do group coaching calls as well. You get access to me and my wholesaling team on those. I do 2 calls a week. My team does 2 calls a week. And these are the guys that are out hustling the deals. These are the guys that are doing the marketing for me, right? So like you get access to my actual wholesale team. And there's a community. You get access to the Driving for Dollars Mastery community. There's a Facebook group. There's so many benefits. And we can break down how all of that works. And we have a couple different options within all of that as well. So definitely go book that. Yeah. So I think that is it for my time. I have got to run to the post office and drop some closing documents for actually a land deal in Florida that we're selling. So we're gonna make pretty good money. I think we made like 8 or 9 grand on this deal, so pretty cool. And anyways, I appreciate you guys all so much. Definitely leave me a comment. Like I said, reach out to me on Instagram, reach out to me on TikTok. Like I would love for you guys to have a massive amount of success, even if you don't become students. Like dive into my content. There's so many actionable steps and valuable information between my podcast, my YouTube channel, especially that 40-day challenge in there. I want this content to bless your lives. And if it blesses your lives and you're not a student, I want to know about it. I want to know that my hard work, my blood, sweat, and tears is changing your guys' lives, because that's what I'm doing it for. So I appreciate you guys. But if you're also curious about the coaching, please don't forget, don't delay. If you click on the link, there should be some spots available. I do have limited amounts of spots. So if you guys are on the fence, I would definitely book that call now if there is available spots, because there's not always available spots. I only have so much time to take so many calls. So anyways, appreciate you guys, and we'll see you around. We'll do a few more lives, for a few more Q&As for you guys this week as well.